comments over there because people don't comment as much here. So if I do like this, then we're all good to go. And we can see how we look over here, and we're good to go. And we're good to go. And what I sometimes do is wait for someone to show up like that. Jennifer's in the house. Hi, Jen. Very good to see you tonight. I have a guest. His name is Carmen Mormino, and he's all the things that I said on Facebook, but what I didn't say is he's quite amusing. And everybody that knows me well appreciates that I like people to amuse me. So he amuses me. So you want to go in there?
Oh, yes, I forgot.
Yeah, and go there. So Jen, very nice to. Wait, I'm going to turn down the sound. I'm going to turn down my sound too. I didn't have mine down either. Yeah, so Carmen is amusing, he's fun, and he produces beautiful children who are amazing.
I'm by myself.
All by himself.
That's immaculate.
He's amazing that way. No, he's got a beautiful wife who I adore, named Mary Lee, and you got it all going on. But he has a fabulous story. He has a few stories, so I'm going to bring out that story of his. And yes, you made it in time, Jen. It's good to have you here joining us. So I want to start out with some announcements. We have coming up on Tuesday, Dr. Kimberly Bennett. And for all of you that are wondering about this whole thing that's going on with our health, she is the expert. As far as I know, she has kept us with not even having a cold for a year and, I don't know, 9 months or however long this is. Okay.
It's back.
And so she's going to be with Nick and I on Music's Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. And we have some interesting things coming up. For those of you that have always wanted to do energetic healing work like Nick does, but have not had that opportunity, he's going to be teaching his sentient healing class. I think it's like a 2-year course. It's going to be starting again fresh in September on the 13th. And then on September 3rd, we both are doing a relationship workshop for a day. Christina's in the house. Kimberly. Hello. Kimberly's watching us on the big screen. Yeah. She can see every single hair on your face.
My mom hates when I don't shave, so don't tell her.
I like the scruffy look.
I'm trying to be rugged.
It's working. I like it. So that relationship workshop is so we can have little conversations like this. And for those of you who are not in a relationship, we help you to define and get the relationship of your life, that love of your life. For those of you that are in relationships and are having a challenge with communication, that's a big one for people. We have constructive communication. That's one of the tools in my workbook, and we'll be sharing that. We have a whole bunch of other tools that we'll be sharing on that day. So that will be September 3rd. It's a Saturday. I think it's from 10 to 5. And we make it a lot of fun. So mark your calendars for those things. And I think that's all the announcements. Hey, Mary Lee's in the house here in YouTube.
Speaking of relationship. No.
You guys are great. You guys are really good in relationships. It's another reason why I wanted you here today. So Mary Lee, it's so nice to have you. For those of you that are on Facebook, I also have a YouTube channel, Conscious Mind Tripping with Audrey Newmont, and I'm live there as well. So I've got like 2 computers working. I got the lights working. The big mic is working. So they can hear every word you say. And with that being said, let's get this party started with Mr. Mormino here. So what I did post today was on Facebook, and Carmen did something for us the other day. I wish I had brought it. I didn't think to bring it. Nick came into the bedroom yet again on, I think it was Sunday morning, and he throws down this flyer that Carmen sent to almost 700 people and it was about us, and it was so amazing. And Nick put it there on the bed, and I just looked at him and I was like, what is this? And it took me a while to even say something because I was so shocked. He didn't tell us that he was doing it, and it just got sent out, and it was support local business. And you can see what it is on my Facebook page. I was a little blown away. And it's yet again another reason why I just love you. And I refer you to anybody that's even thinking about selling a house, because I know you got their back. I know you got integrity, character. You get the job done. You're amazing with that. But it's the other part of it. It's like we have a whole community here at Newmont Center. So we have like this team of people that we refer to. We have a chiropractor, a homeopathic doctor. We've got Dr. Mike next door who does, his thing with acupuncture and the Chinese medicine. We've got people who do computers. We got all these people. And Carmen does what I have been trying to do, because I used to be the president of a holistic chamber of commerce and of a networking group. And I would batter into them. It's like we're supposed to be referring each other. We're supposed to be sharing and keeping it like where we're really like supporting each other. And he hasn't even officially been to one of my meetings, but he did the thing that was like the big thing. I mean, he put out this flyer to 700 people, and it was about us and supporting his business. Kudos, kudos. He gets a shit ton of kudos. Don't tell his daughters. Shh. That's a big deal. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're
With
welcome.
that being said, now I want to get into the other stuff. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's really nice to thank you in person in front of all these people.
You're welcome.
So, the other thing, Carmen's a dad. And for those of us that are parents, we know how much it is that we want our kids to be healthy and happy and abundant and in love and all those things. And Carmen has this beautiful daughter named Lola who came into the world. If those of you that saw it, it was 2 weeks ago, I actually had her on my show. And Lola came into the world with a very big challenge. She had hi Audie, you're over here on Facebook. Lola had a tumor that she was born with. And we talked about it, but maybe you want to share it from your perspective. And then we're going to have him explain what I wanted him to explain on that part of the story tonight. How was that for you? And I mean, it's a lot. Your wife is in labor, and you were so happy and expecting, and then this traumatic thing.
I was going to mess with you and be the worst possible guest ever and go, it was bad. But I can't do it to you. Just answer one word. Yes. No. I can't do that. So how was it when she was born?
We've never talked about it. I mean, I've talked to Mary Lee about it.
I'll tell you my perspective. So she was in labor, and baby wasn't dropping, and the doctor said, look, you could push for the next 14 hours and we're probably going to have to do a C-section anyways, or you could just have a C-section. Hour and a half from now, you'll have your baby. You're going to be sore from the C-section, but it'll be fine. Blah, blah. I'm going to leave the room. Oh, and what happened was she had this wonderful OBGYN, this little short, little warm, loving guy, but he was on vacation. So in walks like a guy right off the set of like ER, 10, good looking, cool glasses. I'm like, I don't like this guy. Like, you're not going anywhere. But anyhow, so we decided, C-section, go into the, we didn't realize, Mary Lee didn't realize it was going to be like an operating room.
Yeah.
And they bring her in, then they bring me in, and she's freaking out because things don't feel right. And she sees surgical things, and it was just scary. So the doctor, and all I could see, because I was by her head, all I could see was the the sheet was up, and I could see the doctor's face, and he had his mask on before masks were in style. And
Right.
he had a mask on, and he's saying, 30 seconds, you'll have the baby. And Mary Lee was in pain, not normal pain. It was just something, and don't, just 15 seconds, and they put her under because it was so bad. And all of a sudden, I looked at the doctor's eyes, and I saw terror on his face, like complete. And I heard Lola cry. Oh boy! And I said, "What is it?" Meaning boy or girl. And he said, "Get NICU in here immediately." And then I heard, "Is the baby breathing? Is she moving?" And I saw, and they never even said boy, girl. And then they said it's a girl, and then they said she. And I went to stand up, and the nurse goes, "You okay?" I said, "I'm going to pass out." So they brought me out uh, to lay down on the gurney, and it was like everything was moving at 1,000,000,000 miles an hour in slow motion.
Right.
And this woman said, "Is that the dad?" And this woman comes out, and she says, "Are you the dad?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Did you see your daughter yet?" Which is still, it's something I regret a little bit, that I didn't see my baby right away, but I didn't want to have any attachment to her. I didn't want, if something happened, I didn't want.
I understand.
Yeah. And so that this woman says, "Have you seen your baby?" I said, "No." She said, "She has a growth on her bottom. It appears to be another head," were her exact words. Now, what I pictured at the time, do you remember the Mike's Hard Lemonade commercials where the guy walks into a bar and there's like a talking
Oh,
head?
yeah.
That's what I pictured at
Oh,
that
my
moment.
goodness.
And I grabbed her. I started crying. She started crying. I was like, "I'm going to pass out." So meanwhile, Mary Lee is out. They said she won't wake up for 4 hours. Our best friends had a baby the day before. They're waiting in their hospital room for us, to.
Yeah.
And a half hour later, I'm getting paged on the intercom saying, "Mr. Mormino, your wife has woke up." She wakes up, doesn't know where she's at, doesn't see me, doesn't see the baby. And that was that experience. And
I can't even imagine how that must have been for you.
it was, and I didn't see Lola. And then I had to explain to Mary Lee somewhat what was going on. And then about 4 hours later, I was like, I have to go see her. And she was sleeping like a little peanut. And the first thing I said to her was like, as I just looked at her, I said, "What happened?" She was sleeping on her stomach because she couldn't sleep on her back. And I go, "What happened? You're going to be okay." And she was just, and was it 3 days later, I believe, they had to take her to Children's Hospital downtown LA. And that's even, here's this newborn baby with mommy in an ambulance down the freeway. I'm following. And then she had a 6.5 hour long surgery. And there was a complication in the surgery. They removed the tumor, but
So it wasn't really like what the nurse had described.
oh no. So what happened was, when I went up to see Lola, this woman was there, and she came up to me and she said, "I have to apologize to you." I was like,
Wow.
I said, "I don't even know who." I'm like, "Well, who are you?" She says, "I'm the head of NICU." She said, "What I said to you was the most unprofessional thing." She says, "I don't know if I could recover from what I said to you." I said, "Listen, you may be a doctor." I said, "But you're a human being and you freaked out."
And this is another one of the reasons why I really love this guy.
Well,
A lot of people would have taken that and run with it. Kudos.
no,
Again.
thank you. So I'm keeping track of the kudos. But so what happened was, when in the surgery, Lola had an calcium IV in her vein. And in the 6.5 hour long surgery, right at the beginning, it slipped out of her vein, but stayed in her arm. And she had 3rd-degree burns. So it was
Trauma upon trauma.
and then we're in NICU after the surgery, and there was babies in there that they were never going to leave.
Right.
And
But what you said to her at the very beginning, that first thing you said to her,
what happened?
yeah,
Yeah.
what happened, and you're going to be all right. I know Lola really well, and he has said that to her his whole life, her whole life. I mean, she'll say my whole life, and it's like you have said that to her, and you have been, along with Mary Lee,
Yes,
you two
please.
are amazing. But I have you here tonight because we're going to tell another story as well. But I know that it was you who found Jeff, and I want you to tell that bit of the story because they went through a lot of years. I mean, a lot of years with doctors not having a diagnosis of, really how to help her and how to make things stop being unhealthy. And
So Lola had health issues her whole life, ranging from concussions, playing hockey, to hip surgery, to losing the use of her legs for, I think it was 3 weeks, her last day of middle school, whooping cough. I mean, just you name it, she's had
yeah,
it. And then she's had these horrible issues of passing out. Um, and they said it was vasovagal, and we heard, it could be psychological or blah, blah, blah. So 2018, she was playing like high level hockey, and her health was just, and in hindsight, looking at pictures of her, you could just see in her eyes, and there was always something when I was watching her play, like, and Mary Lee would say it too, is there seems like there's something missing. Like
yeah,
there's something that's just not right. And so she had one of these episodes where she was going to pass out, and we were best friends with the paramedics because they knew us, and like they brought her to Los Robles, ran some tests on her, like, can't find anything, go home, you'll be okay. And I'm probably botching the story a little bit, but and then we were down in Lakewood, and Lola had a game, and she came off the ice, sprinting in her equipment, and she threw herself on this bench, and she was turning like gray, and her, in hindsight, she said she thought she was dying. And so uh, her body was completely shutting down. They rushed her to Children's Hospital Long Beach. She was there for 20 days. 20 days, I think. And it's 3 times a day she was having these episodes of, she'd be like, I don't feel good, and her body, she'd get it appeared to be she was like about 98% of the way from us losing her 3 times a day.
wow,
And they ran every kind of test, from cancer, epilepsy, you name it. Like, they had electrodes on her head, and all her levels were like standard benchmark, like just elite athlete. So I'm condensing it as best I
that's got
can.
to be very frustrating as a parent. I mean, I can't even imagine that.
Well, the last thing they said was, um, it could be a tumor on her adrenal gland that's pushing on her adrenal gland and sending surges of adrenaline. And Mary Lee and Mia and Lola were like, oh, we hope it's that, because then they could remove the tumor. And I'm thinking, well, I hope it's not a tumor, but if they could remove it. So the doctors come in after the test, and they're like, great news, no tumor. And we've ran every other test, and this could be psychological. And then Lola's face turned beet red with rage, and Mary Lee started crying, saying, this is so ridiculous. All these years we keep hearing, could be psychological, could be psychological, could be psychological. And all of a sudden I was thinking, oh my God, all these years we've been hearing it could be psychological. I was like, it's been right in front of our face, the answer. And we weren't listening. Communication. We weren't listening to what they were saying. We wanted to find.
Well, they didn't say it is. They said it could be.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. And
Yeah.
when people hear it could be, there's a part of it, well, if it could be, I'm sure they would figure it out.
Right.
But they don't say, well, we did the figuring and it is.
Right.
So then how did you end up at Jeff?
Well, then they're like, what do we do? And I go, well, you can try biofeedback and this and that. And this is condensing it again. But so we left the hospital not knowing what to do. And I'm just Googling biofeedback near Westlake Village, and this Jeff Sherman pops up. I'm like, I don't know. Let's call him.
He looks like a viable option.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't. So, And so they went to Jeff. We went. I'm sorry, the three of us went, and he ran. I don't know what the machine is called, but you hold like a metal thing.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, I've been doing this for however 30 years or 25 years, and not arrogant, but just very confident, like nonchalant, like.
Yeah.
And you hold this metal thing, and he's putting like supplements on this metal tray. He's like, no, that won't work. Yeah, this works. That works. Okay, so give me a second. I'll be right back. And he comes back, and I'm like, look it. I said, I'm open to anything, but I don't believe anything you're doing right now. I said, I don't. He said, 30 days from now, Lola will be completely healed. And I was like, watch what you say to me and us, because don't make a promise like that. 30 days later, that was end of November. She was just so much recovering she needed to do. This was very interesting. We were at my parents' house in Chicago over Christmas. 2 days after Christmas, which was like 30 days, Lola sends me a text from the bathroom. I don't feel good. Come in here. She's laying on the ground. She has one of these episodes. She came out of it and she was hysterical, crying. She was, Daddy, she says, I was watching you and I from somewhere else.
Wow.
She said, and I thought I was, and she never had another episode after that. And it turned out it was the stress she was putting herself under. Her body said, now this is like the big thing in sports right now. A guy in the Blackhawks, he missed all last year. What's her name?
In the Olympics.
Simone Biles. Yep. Yeah. Now it's coming to light that the pressure and stress so when the doctor said this about, could be psychological, Lola, we step out of the room I step out with the doctors and I hear like, it sounded like Ultimate Fighting Championship going on, like screaming and I hear this boom like that. I looked at the doctors and said, you guys need to come back later. I walk in, they're all silent, and Lola's going. Mary Lee was like, you better look at her wrist. She punched the side of the hospital bed so hard she broke the whole piece. Yeah. But then she started saying, nobody understands. Every time I step on the ice, it's Lola D1, Lola Olympics. We got to go to a D1 school. Every time I open my school book, it's like, I got to get straight A. We knew none of this. And we're, how hands-on
Right.
We're so involved. And this is what stress did her. It was her body saying, I'm out, I'm done.
So we had Lola here a couple weeks ago, and, she went to Jeff, and then Jeff suggested that, Mary Lee come here. And one thing led to another. We're all, hello, everybody in there. I got to scroll it myself somehow.
I'll do that for you.
All right.
I'll be your helper.
So the reason why I wanted Carmen to tell his side of the story is, number one, I want people to really get, a lot of times doctors, they'll do all the testing, they'll do all of that stuff, and they don't get to saying, this is a psychological issue, or this is an issue that has to do with the psyche. And for Lola, we had this conversation a couple weeks ago. She had a couple of moments just recently where, yet again, she took it to the next level, and she understood, because she got sick a couple more times of more minor sort of things. But one time they all came in as a family and we worked through it, and she could see exactly where she had been holding on to the emotions attached to the thoughts and how they were creating in the body. And like the second time she came in, and this is important for all of us to get. I just had somebody in here recently today who, again, she's having a physical challenge. And there's a part of it where we have a tendency as people, especially in a moment like this where there's so much going on. But I've seen so many people, and myself included, I used to do this. We take and we put the feelings over here. And like with Lola, it's like, she is Superwoman, and she's got to be Superwoman, and she wants to be the best on the ice, make the best grades, and do all this stuff. And that's all great. But if you're pushing feelings aside and you're just keep moving forward, something in the body is going to give at a point. So when they had that realization, especially the second time she came, I mean, she came in and she was feeling sick and she was angry and she was frustrated. And the look on her face when she came in was just like, oh, this is, I'm not happy. Like it was really rather pissed, and understandably so. But once she figured it out and she did the process of owning, what am I suppressing? What am I not dealing with? What is the thought behind this feeling? And the feeling being the most important thing. When she got to that and she understood what she had done unconsciously, then she was able to consciously say, oh, I get it. I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to do this. It's an almost instant transformation.
Yeah.
And she had that transformation here in the office. I mean, I'm telling you, the person who walked in, and Mary Lee, you're right there.
And for everybody on Facebook, Mary Lee, my beautiful princess wife, said it's not that they didn't try to help. We were just with the wrong people until now. The doctors did try to help.
Oh, I'm
they
sure.
They were pulling their hair out, like.
But doctors don't pull out the metaphysical anatomy journal like I do.
Right.
You know, so there's definitely with doctors, there's a lot of things that doctors have the ability to heal, and they do. They heal all kinds of things. But we're not taught, and this is what I was just telling my client earlier today. I had a lump that I dissolved. I did it. It was the size of a lima bean. I had a kidney stone. I got rid of it. And we don't get taught what that looks like and how to do it. And like, for instance, you, Jen, you've had health challenges, and the doctors have been struggling to help you with them because there's another component that's added. Our feelings attached to the thoughts are very creative in the body. So, yes, it needs doctor's attention a lot of the time, and it needs the attention of understanding what's going on within us. And when you took her, and the reason why he's here today, one of the reasons, because he's going to get into this other story, I loved that he within himself said, there's got to be another solution here. And you went about the business with Mary Lee,
With
and
Mary Lee.
kudos, Mary
Yes,
Lee.
yeah.
The two of you together never gave up on this. And to be clear, there have been moments where I know it's been hard to continue with some of the process of really working through this stuff. And you two have stuck with it and massively changed your lives. I mean, in so many ways.
The four of us. I mean, thanks to you and Nick, but I know we have to step up and do the work and stay committed to it. But our lives the past, especially like the past year and a half, have so dramatically changed because we're all on this ride together.
Yeah.
We're not like, and for a while it was like, I'm consistent. Mary Lee comes in, but she's feeling better, so yeah, she doesn't have to come in. But then Lola comes in because she feels like crap, and then she feels better. But then Mary Lee's down here, and then Mia's down here. But then Mia moves up here, and it was fine. There she was, and she kept saying to Mary Lee, she was like, "When are the four?" Or you would say to each one of them, but not me. When are the four of you coming in? You need to all come in. And it was like, so then once we started doing that, and it's I compare it to like LASIK surgery on life. Like you have like we see things so much more clear.
Yes.
Within ourselves, the way others behave. We see things more clearly, and we have tools.
Right.
This comes at us, we have that tool. And it's never where we reach a point of perfection. They're like, okay, we get it now. We figured out life. Cool.
It's never that. You know, sometimes clients, they come in and it's like, all right, so everything's all good now. It's like, yeah. And the next thing will come up and you're going to have to work through it. And there's that process of working through it. And this is a good time. Well, you're going to say something.
Segway.
This is a segue to the story. So he was talking with Nick one day, and Nick told him, he said, you need to talk to Audrey. And then it was right at the same time that he had sent that flyer out, that big card out. And I was like, I want him on my show. And then I didn't even know this part of it. So then it's like, okay, Carmen, you need to come in and we need to like talk, and you tell me what you told Nick that he thinks that you should be over here on the show. So then you told me the story that you're about to say.
Yes. Mary Lee said, "Don't tell the story." No, it's Lola Gaudry.
Hey,
Oh,
Lola.
Lola, don't steal my show. Damn it. It's 2 weeks ago. Is that a thumbs down? Oh, look at, she put, "It's Lola, go Audrey to Daddy," and she gave me a thumbs down. That's Lola. Thanks for your support.
Lola, we love you.
Anyways, uh, these three are my heart and soul. So anyway, um,
And before he says another word, that's the other thing. If you want to, I'm just going to say another story about these
oh
guys
my gosh.
because there's people that set an example of how to be with each other. They just had their 25th wedding anniversary, and their two daughters went out of their way to make this amazing experience. So they brought Nick and I in because we're ministers to do a renewal of their vows. And so they walked up and they saw us and they were like, "Oh my God," they were shocked. They had it in a beautiful park. And then after the vows, we took some pictures and they surprised them with a horse and carriage. And not just a horse and carriage, a Cinderella carriage.
It appeared. It was like a fairy godmother went dink, and then it appeared, and I was like, "What the?" And it was a Saturday in Westlake Village, and we're going down Thousand Oaks Boulevard in a horse and carriage, and I'm looking at Mary Lee, who's dressed in her gown from our wedding, and I was looking pretty.
So
I was looking pretty dapper myself. I gotta
yeah,
say,
you were, but she was beautiful.
She was beautiful.
Oh.
So I was like the prince that was going to turn into the toad. But so we're going down Thousand Oaks Boulevard on a Saturday at like 5:30, and I'm looking at her going, "This cannot be legal. There is no chance in hell that this is legal." But what was cool was, it's when all the protests were going on and COVID was flying off the charts, and people paused for like 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 20 seconds, and the whole world stopped and they saw a prince and a princess in a carriage, and
right.
they smiled. So it was really cool.
And if they knew you, you are a prince. And so was she like this? Was she waving like this?
We were just like goofy. We were just like, hey. Yeah. So.
But it's like their daughter, and then they had a lovely dinner, surprise dinner prepared for them. And it was just like, when people take those moments to do things with each other like that and for each other in those hard times of life, those are those little moments, those special moments that get you through. And you guys have made so many of those. I really want to say special moments. So kudos to all of you, because I just love that. And I love being a part of it.
And you guys are. Holy.
So now on to the Segway.
Okay. So
you can use a carriage now.
Oh, yes. So the GPS in your horse's brain. No. So I write in a book for like 15 years. Every morning I write 3 pages in a book. I highly recommend it. It's just it's non-negotiable. I wake up and write, and I ask questions, just like things in my head, and stuff comes out of the pen, and I write. So beginning of last week, there was a destination, for lack of a better word, that I want to get to that just came to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and I'm a firm believer that when a thought or an idea pops into your head, you didn't put it there. It's a little gift. Like, hey, here's an idea, and what you do with it is up to you. But so this popped into my head. I'm like, well, and I also think that when that pops into your head, when that's given to you, it already exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. I'm like, yeah, so this destination is here. I just have to follow the guidance. I'm like, wow, what a concept. And I went, oh my God, this is like kind of like a GPS. And I thought, when you get, and I love it, it's like me with a new toy. It's like when you get in the car and you want to go somewhere and you've never been there before, we're fortunate that you go on your phone and you punch it in to
Mm-hmm.
GPS, right? And then you hit go. And you never hit go and go, oh, what if when I get there, it doesn't exist? What if that building isn't there? Or let's say if I'm showing a client a home, I'm in real estate, but no, no, but you never go, what if that address doesn't exist? You know it does. It's there. You set that GPS. You set that destination. Now, you don't sit there and just stare at your phone while you're driving at the destination, right? No, you just put it there, and it tells you turn right, turn left, turn right, turn left. And so you just trust it and you go and you follow it. Now, if you're like me, as if Mary Lee's still on, she's going to get mad. I do many things while I'm driving that I shouldn't. I multitask. But sometimes it'll say turn right and I'm not paying attention and I turn left. What does a GPS do? Rerouting. Oh, shit, I went the wrong turn. Puts you back on track. And I said this to Mia a couple days ago. I said, and sometimes you look at your dashboard, your gauges, and oh my, I have to get gas. I'm running out of gas. So what do? You get off the route, get gas, fill it up, refueled, get back on. So it was the beginning of last week that this came to me, and I'm telling you, it's been, like I said to you, not a game changer, but a game improver, because with things I have going on and potential things I have going on, I'm like, GPS is set. That simple. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what more you want me to say about that, but it just really makes so much sense. But as we talked about, you can't just think it and go, okay, my destination's set. And it would be like getting in your car, setting the destination, and just sitting in the car, having it in park. You're like, well, it's not, I'm not getting there. Well, dumbass, you have to actually put the car in drive and drive the car. And you have to make sure. And sometimes you'll go like the way I operate. Sometimes you go above the speed limit because you want to get there faster, but you can't go too fast because you'll crash. So you have to gauge, foot on the gas, take your foot off. But with that in my mind, it has to be a connection of not only knowing it here, but in your heart, that's the destination. Because you could think all you want, but once, and I'm not saying it just because you said it, but once these two connect, and it's not a force, it's just like once it connects, then you go, and it's been so helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
So he came in and he told me that story, and I looked at him because Carmen's never worked with me. He works with Nick, and they do their thing, and you guys have really done some amazing work together. And you've talked about that a little bit on his show on Mainstream Metaphysics. So he came in and he didn't know that I have a book out called, it is what it is. And then we've got my workbook. And then when my clients come in, I use a car analogy. I've really made it into a game. And I looked at him when he finished with that. And it's like, Carmen, what you just said is actually in my book.
Oh, she had this like big grin on her face. Like I'm telling a story. I'm like, wow, she really likes my story. She thinks I'm really cool. And she's like, it's in my book. I was like, oh. I'm sure other people have said the same thing.
Oh, I'm sure it's out all over the place. And the way that I put it in the book, nobody said it like I've said it. It's like I have all these books here. And when I was actually, Spirit guided me and was like, I kept hearing this, like not hearing it, like hearing it, but there kept being like when I became a practitioner, it was like there was a part of me, it's like, I should do this thing. I should be a practitioner. I didn't know why. It was just like this calling. And the same thing with writing that book. I kept feeling like I'm supposed to write a book. I'd already had my workbook out, and it was like, I need to write a book. And I kept looking at all these books. I'm looking here, and I've got them under here. I've got books everywhere because I read a lot. And usually I'll listen to it on Audible, and if I really like it, I'll buy it. So I kept feeling like there's got to be, it's already been written. So even when you were telling your version of the story, that thing with the GPS, it's in your word, it's in your thought, it's in your manner of speaking it. And mine, it looks a bit different when you're actually reading the book, but it's the same premise. It's the same, and it's the navigational system. So the navigational system is your heart, and it's your mind, and you're creating, and that's what you're putting into the GPS. So there's this part of it where when you know that, like for instance, you knew I'm coming to see Audrey and we're going to do this show. Life is very, very much like that. So when my clients come here and I'm working with them, it's like, what do you want? And it's just amazing the amount of time when people look at me and they're like, I don't know. And it's like just that thing alone, just the intention is setting the roadmap. So there's that part of it. What do you want? Like, I want to, have a great time with my family. I want to continue to, grow and expand with them. I want to continue to be healthy with them. I want all of these things. I'm continuing with my moving up the ladder of my success and making a lot more of that. And you have been systematically, one by one, you and all of you have been putting that in the intentions, and you've been putting that on the roadmap. And then the other part of it is your attention, because there's intention, what do I want? But then the attention, like for an example, sometimes, and Jen, I know you well enough. Yeah, she is your spirit animal. So, so Jen, I want to use you as an example here. Your intention is I'm going to be healthier and healthier and healthier. And my body is going to continue to, all the cells that continue to multiply and divide, each time they multiply and divide, they're going to get healthier and healthier. I'm going to continue to stay more and more calm. And I'm going to continue to own that part of me that is resonating with greater and greater health. And then as you go along, there's something that happens, and it's like, ugh, something just happened. And rather than looking at it and working through it, not that this is you, this is what happens with many people. I just worked with a couple today. Something happens, and instead of working through it, they it's like you're driving on the freeway, and I use the example of going up the 101 to San Francisco. Your greatest health is in San Francisco. When everything's cleared out, you're feeling energetic, you're feeling alive, turned on, you're getting up in the morning, there's energy, and you don't have ill feelings in the body. That's the intention. And so there's this morning that you wake up and it's like, could be they ate something crappy the day before. Like Nick and I had something last night and I'm feeling like today myself. So what happens is we start to feel a little crappy. And instead of staying on the 101, you take a detour. And instead of doing a loop and getting back on the freeway, you take a detour. And so the 101, it's like you're driving off to Bakersfield.
Nothing's wrong with Bakersfield.
I don't want to live in Bakersfield.
Lola, what do you think about Bakersfield? Anyway, go ahead.
So
Wow,
the challenge is the attention is now diverted. And so the body's going, oh, because in our mind we're going, I'm not feeling well. This isn't great. This is, my body is what if, the what ifs are huge. And so we start to imagine, we start to focus on it rather than being like, all right, like for me today, I'm not feeling all that great. I know that I ate a salad then and I'm eating my grapefruit and I'm making healthy choices. I'm drinking lots of water. And I know I'm going to go to bed tonight. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and my body's going to be back to normal. So I'm doing a loop. I'm just getting off the freeway and getting back on again. It's that trick of not paying attention and letting your mind go off where you don't want it to go. And that is one of the keys with all of this. Never going back to Bakersfield, says
again, nothing's
Lola.
wrong with Bakersfield.
No, nothing's wrong with Bakersfield
If
at all.
You like to be
Bakersfield.
afraid.
I also use the example of Lompoc.
I don't even know where Lompoc is. I love my favorite city to use to get a laugh is Pacoima. If something's where do you live in Pacoima? Really? I just love the name
It's
of
just so funny to say Pacoima.
Pacoima.
And literally Jen is saying that happened Tuesday.
Why, she was in Bakersfield?
Yes, I think Lola's body took a trip to Bakersfield on Tuesday. So one of the tricks with life is once you plug it into the navigational system, once it's in the GPS, you have to trust. There may be bumps along the way. The road may be in construction. There may be that you need to pull over for a little pit stop. There may be where you have something to learn in Bakersfield and get back on the freeway. But there is that part where you keep focused on, I set my GPS. I got to own where it is that I'm going, right?
Mm-hmm. It's and for me, I just have to keep things simple. Like, and when you're saying intention, I mean, intention would be the destination you set in your GPS, and then attention is listening to which way you turn, right, left, right. And it just made it so, for example, last Friday, because my weeks are always so crazy busy, last Friday, I was like, I'm going to take a little break. And what I do every night before I go to sleep is I make a schedule for the next day. So I I'm disciplined in terms of.
Another reason why he's such a great real estate agent, seriously.
Well, I've only done that. Thank you for the past year and a half when I changed everything I was doing, and every night I'll make my schedule. And but last Friday I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make a schedule for tomorrow. I just need to like chill. Knowing my GPS was set, I had such a great day, such a productive day because I just trusted it. I'm like, it'll be okay. Don't so. Um, and I think it's just keeping it really, like for me, it's just keeping that concept as simple as possible.
So you just said something that leads to the other part of what's in the book, that trust. So there's another part of it when you set the GPS or the navigational system. There is a part of it where we're the driver, the soul is the driver. We got our little kid in the back seat. There's that part of us that gets angry, has all those fear feelings, anxiety, worry, whatever. You got to pay attention to what they're saying back there. But then there's another part of us that's our higher self. So once I have plugged into the navigational system, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going. There's a part of it where I'm trusting. So if there's road signs that show up along the way, I'm going to trust that that road sign is leading me to where it is that I want to go.
And there's times when this just came to me. There's times that even if there's different signs, like road sign, the GPS knows best. So
Right.
those signs could be other people's voices. And this is, we talked about this briefly yesterday about like my whole life, I've always known there's something special about me, but I listened to too many other voices coming at me trying to tell me otherwise. And I wasn't listening. We didn't have GPS then when I was 7, but I didn't listen to the GPS. I was too busy.
You had the radio on too loud.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't listening. I had all that static.
Yeah.
I had the radio static going on, and
You had AM station on.
yeah. So it kept pulling me in different directions. But now, and those directions were trying to please and trying to get approval, which we touched on yesterday, which is like, wow, all this stuff. But now it's like I'm listening to my GPS. That one voice is just going to guide me. And if somebody doesn't approve of it, that's okay. That's their opinion. That's okay. But I'm going to do my thing.
Right.
And it's taken 50 some odd years to get to that point. But it's, as I said yesterday, it's such a place of freedom to do my thing and not step on people, not be selfish, not hurt people ever. Just do my thing.
Right.
And then all else will benefit. And what I've learned too is wealth is wealth, and money and nice things are wonderful, but the truest wealth of all is this wealth.
Right.
And that's what's just a magical little golden treasure box. It's like, it's the most beautiful thing.
Right.
It really is. So, it's just listening to that one voice. And I think we're all born with a gift. I think everybody's a treasure. I really, really genuinely believe that.
Right.
But we get off that track and we do other things.
Right.
So
when you're hearing all of this and you're mapping now whatever that thing is that you're creating as your intention. I like to use the 101 to San Francisco, but wherever you are, imagine that there is a destination, wherever it is, and imagine the road that leads to the destination. A lot of times people put like for instance, you just said it's taken me 50 years. It doesn't matter. The time doesn't matter. In this now moment, when you're making this the moment that matters. Like I've had many people over the years say, oh, I've wasted so much time. They have. They've said that. And it's like, you've not wasted any time. You've had whatever the experience is up to this point. So take out the judgment on how anything should have been, could have been, would have been, any of that. You put it into, this is the moment. Because honestly, we're all in a moment as a globe right now. This is one of the biggest moments. I mean, I'm nearly 59. It's the biggest moment I've ever witnessed in my life. And it is a really great time to be present in the moment as the adult in the front seat and setting those intentions. Who do you choose to be right now? And where is it that you're going? What is it that you are intending? And it can be anything having to do with your love life, loving yourself. If it's not you're loving yourself, then what? That is like when you're talking about the heart is the everything of the car. It's almost like if you were to think about it, it's like the heart is all of it, and these other parts are just like the things. So, loving yourself, finding anything to love about yourself, and growing that. Because the love that you are, the love that you feel, the love that you express, that's what makes the car run and stay on track, along with the intention and the attention. So, it's super important to get that this is that moment. It's now, and it's now again. It's always a choice point. So even if you did something yesterday and you're like, oh, I screwed up yesterday, it's okay. It's all right. Get back in alignment, get back on the freeway now, and keep focused on this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm creating it. So change the habits, you know, change those beliefs. And really super important for right now. And this is something that I really want to bring up because it's really important. And this has been coming up in session. We're all on the freeway together. We're all in our little cars and we're all in the freeway together. We're all swimming together. So there is that part of us where we're an individual, we're the microcosm in this big macrocosm. So just as much as we're in our unique cars, as we're swimming with everyone else, there is this bunch of energy that we're all creating. And in this moment right now, there is a lot of people, understandably so, that are experiencing a certain level of fear, anger, confusion. I mean, the list goes on with what is being felt right now. And what I have been noticing is that people are having a tendency to, like, let's just push it over here. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have to think about it. So they don't look at it, which means they're storing it in the trunk. So it's creating. And when we're not looking at it, I just want to say it's very creative in the body. So when we're storing that fear that's not being addressed, that's not being worked through in the body, it's no accident that people are getting more sick right now. So I really want to say that this is the time to really look at your fears and understand much of them are an illusion. Much of them are not real. We're imagining where our car is going to go. What if our car breaks down? What if, what if, what if, what if?
And it never breaks down, and you wasted all the time, right?
Right? So it's super important in this moment to say, here I am, I'm in my car, and whatever is going on is going on. So instead of focusing on the problem, you're focusing on how do I work through this thing? How do I address this fear? Is it real? If it is real, what do I do to make it better? Even if it's incrementally a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Because this attached to this can make a lot better. So it's super important in this moment to do that. And then there's one last thing that I want to address with all this. And I said it on our mainstream metaphysics the other day, and I want to say it again with you all. And in all the information that I've been looking at lately, one thing that I have noticed is a lot of people relating to the Bible and saying that there's a lot that's happening right now that is biblical. Well, I grew up a Southern Baptist, and I had a moment when I was a teenager where I kind of said, I'm not going to go there anymore, and I'm not going to do any organized religion. I'm not even going to look at that stuff anymore. And over this period of time, I have changed my view, and I have been looking at it and looking to get some understanding. I'm just looking. That's what we do. Looking at information, getting new perception, because intention, attention, and perception are the three rulers of our lives. So I want to really expand my perception of what's happening right now. So as I'm reading all of this, there was this one passage that was really sticking with me, and that is, put on the full armor of God. I was like, put on the full armor of God. And I read a bit more about that. And I put it back in my desk. The Science of Mind with Ernest Holmes. He was one of my very first teachers. And he has in the back of that book all of these Bible quotes, and he re-establishes it with how he would say it. And I'm going to be posting that tomorrow on my, I'll be posting it. But I want to say it in my Audrey language here as well. When we're going through this kind of a moment, and it's like what Carmen and I were saying with the GPS, and there's that part of it where you're listening. There's also that part of it where we're putting in that information to the GPS, and we're having that communication with our higher self, that communication with whatever you want to call it, whether it's uh, God or in anything. I mean, there's all these different names. I usually don't like to even have a name. It's source for me. It's
Source.
that
That's what I use.
part of me. It's divine. It's that energy that we swim in. It's love. It's all the power. It's that connection. And when that is flowing through me, especially with deep appreciation, I feel it. And I have created with it. And I'm learning more every day through meditation and my prayers and all of that. But that putting on that armor of God, that's that part where I'm communicating and I'm saying, I trust and know that divine right actions happening right now, that the best and highest is happening for all of humanity, that the things that are no longer working, the things that are in some way, shape, or form causing pain, heartache, suffering, all of those things, that this is getting worked through in this moment. So I am putting on my faith in this divine right action taking place, my faith in that higher part of me, that higher part of we, that we are working through this time with grace and with ease. So, this armor of knowing that I am protected, that we're protected, that we're all protected in this moment. And we're focused on love. We're focused on light. We're focused on the best and highest for humanity. There's a lot more to that, but I wanted to put it into a little nutshell for you because this is a choice point for humanity right now. And we're all a part of it. So recognize your fear, get out of it, and focus on any and all solutions. And what? Focus and put into the GPS.
Oh, yeah, just put it in there and just trust it. Just, it's cool today. I was showing places and I kept entering addresses, and every time I hit go, I'm like, oh, it's a destination. But you got to know it in your heart,
right?
And you can't BS your way through it. Like, you can't just like I said, think it and okay, it's in my GPS, and you just sit on the couch and watch Netflix. It's not gonna really happen that way.
Nope. So start focusing on what it is that you're creating. Start writing down your intentions of where you're going in your GPS. What actions can you take to get there? How do you own those feelings? How do you keep yourself in the choice point? Make it happen.
And I know anybody who's watching, they know Nick and Audrey, but man, and not everything works for everybody, but how they've changed. I'm going to speak just for myself, not even my wife and girls, but what they've done for me and is just like, and anybody who doesn't want to not believe, but it doesn't work for everybody. You have to be open to it But what they've done for me and my family is just, there's no words.
It has been a pleasure. You all
Why?
are
Are you
for
leaving
us,
us? It's been a pleasure, but you're done.
for us as who we are as therapists, we're hypnotherapists. For us, you four have really done the work. We can have people come in and they do it or they don't. And I've had many people like you who, I mean, it's just like I watch them in their lives and they're making great things happen. It's not complicated. We're not doing weird nonsense here.
Well, although
We
Nick
do a lot
had me
of
like,
science.
Nick had me, he put me under and I was like walking around like a chicken and clucking, but that's part of the whole chicken thing. And here's a classic example of what they do is Mia, who's pursuing her music career, sent us a text a couple of mornings ago saying, I could look for it, but that for the first time ever, she's really owning her power. And I was like, oh my gosh. And this is both our girls, people think we have this like smooth sailing life. It's like, oh, they never have anything. You obviously you don't know the
You've
half
worked
of it.
through it.
Yeah.
You have worked through it.
But like for Mia to say something like that, for Lola to persevere through the things that she has persevered through, for my Cinderella to stay strong through all this, and for us to grow as a family. And anybody who says, well, yeah, it's been easy, no, it hasn't been.
No.
But it's so rewarding, so it's
Kudos to all of you, seriously.
Lola, by the way, if you're still watching, I think I got about 8 kudos today.
He got a shit ton.
She did. She said she's giving me a shit ton of kudos.
They fight over how many people get what kudos. But we are actually past time. So
let's keep going. Let's do a marathon.
Thank you all very, very much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. This was fun. And you're heartfelt. You're so sincere with all of that. It was really, I really enjoyed being here with you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for everything.
And thank you all for being here with us. And catch up with us on Tuesday for Mainstream Metaphysics. And I love you. Have a great rest of your night and have a great week. And join me here next Thursday too.
Me?
And share this if you can, please.
Can I join you Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.